Hello and welcome back, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. Today, we're going to talk about something that doesn't get spoken about a lot. And I feel like young women, especially, may be missing out because people don't share some of these things. You would think that it's something that is common or something that has been spoken about early on, but it's not. And that is taking care of our bodies, feminine hygiene, and just hygiene in general. Being glamorous and elegant, there's a lot more to it than just high end bags and fashionable clothes. It starts first with our bodies. It is so important, and that's what we're going to talk about today. The first thing that should be a daily routine is showering and bathing. I have heard people say, well, I don't bathe every day. I don't think that's good for you. You need to bathe every day. I don't know about men and what they do, but I can only speak from a female perspective, and we need to bathe or shower every single day. It just has a lot to do with your pH balance and how you bathe. And I'm just sitting here getting ready myself. But you know, your pH balance, that those things really can affect how you smell. And that is part of your presentation. You want to always smell good. And masking with perfume, no matter how expensive, is just not going to cut it. So we have to bathe and bathe well, shower well with like a gel or, natural or whatever you use, but make sure you are really cleaning your feminine areas and doing it properly with like a scrunchie, those little poofs. That's what I want to say. A poof or a towel, you know. I tend to use both. And so that's really important because you want to make sure you're good and clean. And in cleaning, you want to make sure you clean your neck. Clean your neck in the front and back. Just clean it good. And with that, you want to make sure you're cleaning your ears. Did you know that behind your ears, like it can have a little smell? You've probably seen people, spray here and there, but your behind your ears can have a smell. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I remember doing that and it was like, what is that? And my doctor told me it can have a smell and it will have a smell. So you want to make sure you clean that. Because when you wash your inside of your ears, but then also behind it with a towel, you'll see dirt. You don't want that building up. So make sure you fully clean that. That's a really good start for your day. And then make sure we are using a really good antiperspirant or deodorant. Antiperspirant really stops you from sweating. You don't want to walk around feeling sweaty, but if you don't, just at least a deodorant, a natural deodorant. I have used deodorants that people made for me, especially when I had cancer. I kind of tested those out, and you have to use a deodorant. Again, no matter how good that body splash or body spray or perfume is, how expensive, if you are not clean and you are not stopping that odor from coming through, and we'll talk about a little later what you can do to make your body smell good naturally, because that's where it should start. You shouldn't have to bathe in fragrance to make sure you smell good. I love perfumes and things because I just love the smell of it, but you want to make sure you are clean. Cleaning your body is number one. Now, also, dental hygiene is really important. You should go to the dentist. You say, I floss. Like I carry floss, and I keep these little picks with me everywhere I go. They're in my beauty bag in my purse or my handbag, I make sure that is with me because first of all, I don't want food in my teeth when I'm talking, like after lunch or after dinner. Sometimes people don't tell you, and it shouldn't be their responsibility truly to keep tabs of what's in your teeth. I like to have, like, just real discreetly, little mirror. Oh, I got something there, and you take care of that. But make sure you take care of it away from the table. Don't sit at the table picking your teeth. But make sure you keep a mirror and floss or the little toothpicks with you because that gets the food out of your teeth. You don't want to walk around with that. And, you don't want to taste and smell the food in your mouth. And with that being said, make sure you are flossing really good after you brush, whether you use an electric toothbrush or a manual toothbrush. Make sure you floss because that's what builds up that plaque. And then that can start to smell. You have bad breath, and you have to have a mouthwash. Mouthwash is very important. You know, you should. I don't know if it's necessary, but it's like I do mouthwash after every meal, especially if you're doing something like a seafood or just something really saucy. Just, you can buy those. I'm looking at my desk, my beauty desk. I don't have a little mouthwash in here, but I do all of that in my bath. But just, make sure. Oh, those little strips. They're like mouthwash strips. Do things like that because you want to, when you're talking to people, you want to leave them being like, her breath hit me, but it was so pleasant. I was talking to a lady a couple months ago, and I told my husband, I said, and he knows her. I said I was talking to her, and I think he was expecting me to say like, it was foul or whatever. And I said, her breath smelled so fresh and clean, and I can tell that she had like the breath strips or some type of mints or something. Keep those types of things in your bag as well. Just ladies, I tell you, you will feel so much better. You won't be worrying if your breath is smelling foul or, you won't even think about it because this is just what you do. You keep everything nice and fresh and clean. Go to the dentist on a regular basis. I think twice a year I go. Go to the dentist because dental hygiene, that affects your whole body. And if you have things building up in your teeth and your gums, it's not only going to give you, you could have problems in your head and your rest of your body, and that's just a whole nother topic. But your breath is going to smell really bad. And there's nothing that almost upsets me more than talking to someone that I really like and enjoy the conversation, but the breath is bad, and I can tell they have a bad tooth going on. The bacteria. I'm not talking about like your teeth have to be perfectly straight and all that. Mine aren't perfectly straight, but I make sure if I feel like something's going bad with a tooth, my dentist lets me know. Yeah, we need to take care of this because you don't want to walk around and have people avoid you because that's not elegant at all. They're like, wow, she dresses so beautifully, but her breath is bad. She needs to take care of that. You don't want to be that girl. You want to be the one that's like, she's always everything about her, her breath is beautiful, her teeth are clean, I can tell she smells like soap, like she smells so fresh. So we're going to be taking care of those things. It's really important. Young ladies, especially, are you listening? Because I don't know if they still have like in the home ec classes, and they had like hygiene. I was in school in the 80s, and they taught us about this. And my mother taught me how to clean myself and how to brush my teeth right when I was young. I don't know if people really take the time to do that anymore, but if they don't, I'm here to help you. Now, part of our feminine essence and beauty is our hair. We love the hairstyles, whether it's your natural or you've got a weave or a wig. All of that is so beautiful, but you have to make sure you wash your hair. Because if you don't wash your hair, or regularly wash your wigs and weave, it can start to smell. It really can. And you will notice it. And if you're putting perfume on and put in their hair, people do that. No, that doesn't matter. You want to make sure your hair is clean. When that wind blows, you're with your man, your husband or boyfriend or whatever, you're sitting there and your hair blows. He needs to be able to say, wow, her hair smells so good. You know? He doesn't want to be like, can you start wearing your natural hair? Because the wig and the weave is just smelling bad. I know this sounds so just straightforward, but it needs to be because, and there are women that are taking care of business, the majority, I'm sure, but I have come across ones that I know they aren't, and it's not their fault. No one really taught them the right way. I'm in my 50s, so I've had a long time to learn about feminine hygiene and why it's important. Doesn't matter how elegant I think I am, if I'm not taking care of that, the rest is all downhill. Cleanliness, not only our bodies, but make sure we are wearing clean clothes. If what you're wearing is dirty, and I know, you can wear a dress or whatever, and you're not going to throw it and take it to the cleaners every time you wear it or wash it every single time. But be attentive to your clothes when you remove them. Take a look at them. Yeah, that needs to be washed or that needs to go to the dry cleaner because you don't want some kind of food stain or even like body oils and things like that. When it's time, it's time to wash that because it will start to smell. And that's bad. And or you don't want someone seeing a stain on your clothes, but you don't want a scent that is not perfume. And even with that, you don't want things to just linger because then they will start to change and it will not smell pleasant. No matter if you're wearing Baccarat Rouge or whatever fragrance, after a while you need to clean your clothes because you don't want that just sitting there months where you have not wash that dress, especially if it's a favorite and you wear it often. Just be attentive to that. I'm saying this because I don't want people to be embarrassed because you know how people are. You can have someone that you think is a really good friend, and if they're doing this, they're not a good friend. But someone that your acquaintance, and then they're talking about you behind your back, saying, you smell, you have a foul odor or whatever. If you know someone like that, pull her to the side and share these things with her, especially young girls. Don't just talk about them. Help them. Let's help each other out. Women help me out. My mom and aunties. I have an aunt who is she is a stickler for cleanliness, let me tell you. And when I remember being young, and she said she went to the doctor, and her doctor was like, "You are one of the cleanest people I've ever met." And I always think about that. And my mother was like, you got to be clean. She would take me in that bathroom and told me and showed me what I need to be doing. She taught me, go in the bathtub, show me how you clean yourself. Remember what I taught you? And there's nothing wrong with that because how else are these little girls going to learn? So now I'm in my 50s and, I had to sit down, talk with my daughter. She had made sure when she was a little girl that she knew about those things. It's just really important that we teach our younger ones about hygiene, especially our young ladies. We all love to have, the nails. I'm working on my nails growing. It is just, I'm really working on it, trying to keep them nice and polished and everything. But before even all of that, you want to make sure your hands are clean all the time. And underneath your nails, no matter how short they may be, but especially if they are lengthy and you're wearing like acrylics or, the gels or whatever, make sure your nails are clean underneath. There's nothing worse than having old food or other things underneath your nails. Like, that's super offensive for yourself and others who are around you. You know, people pay attention to nails. And I look at people's nails just to make sure, especially if they're fixing a meal for me, or, we're just sitting and talking and we're talking about just different things, and she's waving her hands, and if she's got dirt under her nails like that, there's no reason. It's just really important to make sure your nails, ladies and gentlemen, there's men, they go get the manicures. My son, he gets his nails done, make sure they're clean, you know. He's not putting polish and all that stuff on them, but making sure your nails are clean and manicured. Just because you're a man and a manly man doesn't mean your hands can't be right. My husband takes care, he cleans, he makes sure his nails are right. Because for one, he knows I'm going to say something about it. But that's just how he was raised. He was raised by a fabulous mother, made sure her sons and daughters knew how to be clean, you know? And yeah, I'm bragging and proud about that because that's what we should be doing. But he was also, like in his teens, in the 70s, late 70s and 80s, right? Where the schools even talked about these things more. And I'm hoping that schools really still have these types of classes or electives and so forth because it's so important. It's more important than, you know, teaching someone how to grow up so they can get a Maserati. Well, you're not going to get a Maserati if you're not clean because they're not going to hire you. Or if you have your own business, no one's going to work with you or hire you because your body's not clean. You give a foul odor, you're unpleasant. You don't want to be that person. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you're not that person and you no longer want to be that person. And so, I really appreciate you guys watching this. This has been on my mind lately, and because of some things I saw, and it's just really important. It's really important, guys. So let's make sure we do that as well. Keep those hands clean. Now, remember earlier I was talking about your body scent and smell? Your smell of your body as a woman not only has to do with, you know, um, the bathing and, the using the right types of body wash and soaps, but it has to do with what we consume as well. It has a lot to do with that. So, having said that, make sure you are drinking plenty of water. Water is so important because it flushes out bacteria that is in your body. There's certain things that you can do to like flush your feminine parts, but also drinking water, getting rid of that. And it's good for your gut health. And your gut health has a lot to do with the scent of your body, the scent of a woman. Remember that movie, you guys? Because water flushes out what's going on inside, and it keeps things nice and clean, and flushes out the bad bacteria that can cause a body odor. Because what's inside of you, it eventually comes out, right? So you want to flush. Imagine if you never washed. As important as water is to cleaning your body on the outside, it's equally important for the inside. And also with the water, you want to drink probiotics. I do. If you can drink probiotics, it's really good for your gut health. And I drink them every day. I'll drink like a lemon, maybe lemon water even, but also I drink what is it? Lemon and ginger. Make sure that's in my probiotic and put a little turmeric in there as well. So good for you. And it also just helps your skin look good when you're drinking lots of water and drinking your probiotics and just, eating healthy. You are what you eat. You are what you consume. And so with that, you want to make sure you're eating leafy greens, healthy food, because that's taking care of your inside. And if your inside is healthy, how you smell is going to be as someone who's healthy. Because if it's rotten on the inside, I know that's harsh, but if it's rotten on the inside, it's going to smell rotten. And you don't want that, because when you go to the doctor, you're like, I have a foul odor coming, and you should check that. There's nothing wrong with just being attentive to how you're smelling, because if something smells different, our senses are the first sign that something's not right. So sight and smell. And then you go to the doctor and they let you know, this is what you need to be doing, and so that's why I'm speaking about this, because it's really important to health. It's not just vanity how we're smelling, it's important to health. So you want to make sure that we are doing what we can to make sure we're healthy inside. That way we're smelling good, and then you feel good. You walk through life with confidence that you're not just feeling good and looking good and fabulous, but you're smelling good naturally. And then the perfumes and all of those things are just a bonus. That's just something that you enjoy. But it's like you don't even need it really, because you're already smelling good, naturally. This here, I really like this. And it tastes really good. But this is from Black China. Look at this it's so cute. I just love this. But she has the beauty line and like lipsticks and glosses. I really like glosses even more than I like lipsticks. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, check her out. I really like her. She's evolved into such a beautiful, lovely lady, Angela. I just love her. But yeah, so this is important, guys. Let's just go through it, review, and share this with the young ladies. It's really important. Share it with the young women coming up. I really appreciate the women in my life who share these things with us as young girls, my cousins and I, and now we're passing it on to ours. So I really appreciate you all being here and sitting down for a minute with me. This topic is really important, and just pass it on. And as always, wherever you are in this world, I hope you're having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. And we'll see you next time. You take care. Bye.